Hi, welcome to Pyrography Made Easy. I'm Brenda. In this tutorial episode, I'm going to explain how to create the Star Bright Christmas postcard artwork. During the tutorial, there will be terms I use like pull-away strokes. If you're unfamiliar with my terminology, in the description below, I will put a link to a tutorial that explains them. On my website, there is a written tutorial and a free pattern for this artwork. I will put the link to that article in the description below too. The first thing we will do is the border around the star, so let's get to work. Begin by darkly burning along both edges of the border framing the large star. Then burn dark lines along the edges of the inner star. Next, burn very short pull-away strokes along the inner edge of the border framing the large star. Start the stroke on the inner edge and pull it towards the outer edge. Stop the stroke at the halfway mark. To get smooth results, slightly overlap the strokes. Also, rotate the wood as needed while working to keep the pen tip in optimal position while burning. Use the shader to extend the color along the pointed corners on the border. Then burn pull-away strokes along the outer edge of the border framing the large star. Start the stroke on the outer edge and pull it towards the inner edge. Again, stop near the halfway mark. By burning pull-away strokes along both edges of the border, the edges will be darker than the center of the border. The contrast will make the border look rounded. Burn pull-away strokes along one side of each fold in the center of the star. Start the stroke on the edge or bottom of the fold and pull it towards the top or center of the fold. Do the same thing with the other side of each fold. When you are done, the sides of the folds should be darker than the top or the center of the fold. Switch to a writer pen tip or a small ball tip and apply a layer of tiny dots all over the surface of the inner star. Shade along one side of each fold on the outer star. Avoid burning on these scrolling decorations as they will remain unburned. Again, we want the color to be darker at the base of the fold and lighter at the top or center of the fold. It was at this point that it dawned on me, if I coated the decorations with white charcoal, they would be easier to see and avoid. Plus, the charcoal will resist the heat of the pen tip, so that will help keep the decorations pale. Finish burning the sides of the fold to a tan color. I used a combination of circular motion and uniform strokes to burn in the sides. I burned slowly as I worked, so that made it easier to avoid the scrolling decorations. Since I was burning so slow, I turned the heat down to a low setting on my burner. This kept the pen tip from getting too hot. For reference, my Colwood burner goes up to 10, and I had the heat set between 1.5 and 2. This low setting allowed me to use a slower hand speed and still stay in the tan color range. To get a smooth looking burn, reburn over the area to build up the color, especially along the bottoms of the folds. Remember, this isn't a race, so take your time. I forgot to hit the record button when I burned along the border on the inner star, so make sure to burn a dark line around that border. Use a writer pen tip to darkly burn the tiny dots along the top or center of the folds. Then use a shader to burn in the cat eyes along the top or center of the folds. Make sure to keep the shader in optimal position while doing this so the edges are crisp and clean. Keep in mind that if it's easier to use a writer or a ball pen tip for this step, then please do so. Lastly, reburn along the right side of each cat eye so it is a little darker than the left side. This will give it a little three-dimensional shaded look. Use a writer pen tip to burn along the edges of the scrolling decorations. You can burn just along the shadow sides as I am doing, or you can burn completely around them. Here's an idea to embellish the background. Start with a pencil to draw starbursts. Then use a knife pen tip or rounded heel to burn in the lines. You want the lines to be deep and very thin. Lastly, use a shader to burn over the starburst, revealing the design. That's it. We are all done. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative. As I said before, my website, Pyrography Made Easy, has the written tutorial and the free pattern for this artwork. There is a link to the article in the description below. Thank you for watching. Please click on the subscribe button and see you next week.